Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 2a. Starting a new tractate, Bava Batra, from the very beginning, Daf Beis Amud Aleph, the first words, the Mishnah, Hashutfin Shiratzu Lasos Mechitza Bechatzer, etc. Bava Batra 2a, and here we go. Partners who wish to make a partition, a mechitza, in a jointly owned courtyard, build the wall for the partition in the middle of the courtyard. What is this wall fashioned from? In a place where it is customary to build such a wall with non-chiseled stone, which is called gevil, or chiseled stone, gazit, or small bricks, kefisin, or large bricks, levanim, they must build the wall with that material. Everything is in accordance with the regional custom. If they build the wall with non-chiseled stone, this partner provides 3 handbreadths of his portion of the courtyard, and that partner provides 3 handbreadths, since the thickness of such a wall is 6 handbreadths. If they build the wall with chiseled stone, this partner provides 2.5 handbreadths, and that partner provides 2.5 handbreadths, since such a wall is 5 handbreadths thick. If they build the wall with small bricks, this one provides 2 handbreadths, and that one provides 2 handbreadths, since the thickness of such a wall is 4 handbreadths. If they build with large bricks, this one provides 1.5 handbreadths, and that one provides 1.5 handbreadths, since the thickness of such a wall is 3 handbreadths. Therefore, if the wall later falls, the assumption is that the space where the wall stood and the stones belong to both of them to be divided equally. And similarly, with regard to a garden, in a place where it is customary to build a partition in the middle of a garden jointly owned by 2 people, and one of them wishes to build such a partition, the court obligates his neighbor to join in building the partition. But with regard to an expanse of fields in a place where it is customary not to build a partition between 2 people's fields, and one person wishes to build a partition between his field and that of his neighbor, the court does not obligate his neighbor to build a partition. Rather, if one person wishes to erect a partition, he must withdraw into his own field and build the partition there. And he makes a border mark on the outer side of the barrier facing his neighbor's property, indicating that he built the entire structure of his own materials and on his own land. Therefore, if the wall later falls, the assumption is that the space where the wall stood and the stones belong only to him, as is indicated by the mark on the wall. Nevertheless, in a place where it is not customary to build a partition between the 2 people's fields, if they made such a partition with the agreement of the 2 of them, they build it in the middle, in other words, on the property line, and make a border mark on one side and on the other side. Therefore, if the wall later falls, the assumption is that the space where the wall stood and the stones belong to both of them to be divided equally. Tomorrow, the Talmud says the sages initially assumed what is the meaning of the term mechitza, my mechitza. What is the term mechitza mentioned in the Mishnah? It means a partition, as it is taught in a Brita. Consider the case where a partition of a vineyard which separates the vineyard from a field of grain was breached, resulting, if the situation is not rectified, in the grain and grapes becoming items from which deriving benefit is prohibited due to the prohibition of diverse kinds planted in a vineyard. The owner of the field of grain may say to the owner of the vineyard, build a partition between the vineyard and the field of grain. If the owner of the vineyard did so, and the partition was breached again, the owner of the field of grain may say to him again, build a partition.